And we bring in Albert Breer via satellite and Steve Weitz to dive into this a little bit further here, guys. The current CBA stipulates that Roger Goodell has the power to name whoever he chooses to hear any appeals, including himself, which he has done so in this case. The NFLPA wants someone that they consider neutral. Steve, to you first, what chance does the union have to get what they consider to be a neutral arbitrator?
Well, as you mentioned, the strategical ploy to call him as a witness so he can't be the arbitrator is a nice try, but this is going to be a long shot. But, Scott, we're talking about this case, but this is always much bigger than a singular case when we're talking about the NFLPA versus the NFL. They want to win rulings to set precedent. The NFL does not want Roger Goodell to lose the power to possibly be an appellate person. So, Albert, as I send it to you, we got a lot talking about this case, but again, this is a lot bigger than just Tom Brady and the NFLPA versus the NFL.
There's no question, Steve. We'll get there in a second. Let's start with what was actually in that appeal letter that went to the league yesterday. 4 major points. First, they call into question the Wells report, and they say there's not definitive proof that Tom Brady is actually guilty. Second, they call into question Troy Vincent's ability to determine discipline. They say it's in the CBA that he shouldn't be determining discipline. They later found out that that was strategic and that Vincent determining discipline allowed them to put Goodell in place as the appeals officer. Third, they felt like the crime was not consistent with the punishment, and if you looked at past transgressions of players, they hadn't been punished as harshly as Tom Brady was in being suspended for 4 games. And fourth, they called for a neutral arbitrator, and that's where we get back to that point. There are so many bigger things at work here, Steve. There's the NFLPA versus the NFL, the neutral arbitrator issue. Goodell has not served as an appeals officer in quite some time. On top of that, you've got the issue of the NFL's ability to investigate things. They don't have subpoena power. They can't put players under oath. And so they want to punish lack of cooperation and what they perceive as lying. And we talked about the old battle between the NFLPA and the NFL. You've also now got the new battle of the NFL versus the New England Patriots.
Okay, now the 2 separate tracks here, because Tom Brady, that's the appeal we're talking about now. The New England Patriots have their own punishment that they are facing. Albert, back to you on this one. They haven't announced whether they're going to appeal or not. Their deadline, I believe, is next week. What do we expect on that front?
It's Thursday, and they haven't made a decision. I think you could look at the 20,000-word document that they produced on Thursday, and you could say that if the decision had been made this week, they absolutely would have appealed. They were very, very angry about what went on with the Wells report and what happened subsequently with the penalty phase of all of this. They're going to take some time, and we'll see if cooler heads prevail here. It would be nearly unprecedented for a team to do this. Now, you go back 3 years, you look at the Washington Redskins and the Cowboys. They did wind up appealing cap penalties for going over the cap in the uncapped year of 2010, right before the lockout. But those were in a different phase of the CBA. This would be the first time that a team has ever challenged conduct penalties from the NFL. So the Patriots are carefully considering whether or not they want to go to that length. And, of course, Steve, as you know, there's that meeting in San Francisco next week when Goodell and Kraft will be in the same room, and maybe that's when cooler heads start to prevail.
Yeah, Albert, we'll be able to read the tea leaves right there. If there's cooler heads or if there's friction, that could let us know if there will be an appeal. Again, as you mentioned, this is kind of unprecedented in the territory we're in as a team, kind of going after the NFL. Some things to take note of. Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, came out in full support of Roger Goodell and his actions, as did Arthur Blank, the Falcons owner. So other teams are also watching what's happened here. But we're seeing that Roger Goodell has some allies among the ranks of this owners in case this does turn a little bit parochial here between the Patriots and Roger Goodell.